Okay, so not here from godlikeproductions.com. If you watched my previous video, you know that I'm all about this Pope ritual. So I'm going to show you the consolidated points, the main points from the Pope ritual. Okay, so this is about connecting Leave the World Behind with current events. My theory being mainly that this Pope Leo is the white lion. The white lion being the words on the oil tanker that beached in the first scene of the start of the chaos in Leave the World Behind. And I believe that movie was a big warning, and they wanted us to look closer. They wanted us to know it was a psyop, but not just a psyop, a warning. Because we got all this stuff going on this year, last year, about boat collisions being heavily associated with Leave the World Behind, not by accident, but they want us to associate it with that movie. And then there's the service outages that we had a couple times this year and last year. They're just starting to condition us to better receive the collapse when it happens. They're tilling the soil of our collective unconscious so that they can plant the seeds, so that the New World Order can grow better from the bottom of our minds to the top of manifest reality. All right, so Haile Selassie was the Christ-like Messiah of Rastafari religion. Not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but that's how I pronounce it. So many of his followers thought he was Christ incarnated, literally. Okay, and Leave the World Behind, the message there was that the fall of America boils down to racial tensions. If people can't come together over their racial drama, their old racial karma, if the end of the world can't get them to come together in the face of a common threat, then it truly is the fall. Okay, if we can't rise above our lower natures, but a lot of Hollywood programming is meant to get us into our lower nature, to jolt our minds awake, because you have to go down, you have to go under in order to go over, as Nietzsche has stated. And Nietzsche was an OG accelerationist, and this is all about accelerating tensions for the sake of progress. To get to the singularity faster, to force people to confront their deeper issues that keep them from maintaining and establishing coherent social contractual engagement. So the point is here, again, with the Hollywood program, to get us into our lower nature, which is represented by Baphomet, and to raise that power up to a higher state, which is the goat head of Baphomet, symbolizing the elevation of the lower nature to a wisdom standpoint, using instincts in a much more wise way, utilizing conflict in a way that is conducive to evolution. And that's what the elite are all about, is generating conflict with the solution at hand, ready to employ for the sake of a higher order. Whether you agree with it or not, their order, their New World Order, it's coming anyway. And if you don't agree with it, then pray for divine intervention, because that's all you can hope for. Nobody has control over the world, but the least we can do is our part, whatever we can do. And, then the rest is blameless. But anyway, this racial tension is fueled by two historical figures. Haile Selassie and Adolf Hitler. And I'll show you exactly how they're using the energy of these two people to fuel the chessboard, the 5-dimensional chessboard dynamics at play here, which is the foundation of the New World chaos, which will be the creative destruction to pave the foundation for the New World Order. Haile Selassie equals 124. And the phrase he made popular in Rastafari and the world is one love. Many people say it to this day, white and black. One love equals 88. So 124 is the death date of Pope Francis backwards. One love, 88 is obviously the age of Pope Francis at his death. Haile Selassie's real name is Tafari Makonnen, 142, which is 14-2, the date of Pope's hospitalization. He was referred to as Jah Incarnate, 888, and 624. 624 is the Pope's funeral date backwards. He was born, Haile Selassie was born on 23/7, that's how they would write it, in Africa. That's July 23rd, which is the famed date of Sirius rising. It's the most commonly associated date with Sirius rising. It's the exact middle of the dog days, and it is the first day of the sun rising in Leo. Now 237 was covered before in previous videos, but I'll show you here again. In the movie that predicted the Pope's death, or at least programmed the collective unconscious and the viewers who watched it to perceive the Pope's death in a certain manner through the manipulation of their subconscious perception using the metaphor and allegory of the movie and the numbers installed at the core of that allegory. The numbers here being on this license plate, PXV237. PX represents the Chi Rho, the PX vision given to Constantine before he signed the document making Catholicism a legitimate religion or some shit. Anyway, PXV could also be an anagram of Pax, with the V being upside down, A, and if you put it in between the P and the X, it could be Pax-like, which is written on the seal of Saint Benedict. But more importantly, it's the Chi Rho, and the V represents Vicar of Christ, because that's what they call the Pope. So here you have the Chi Rho, PX, and the V, Vicar of Christ. Chi Rho literally means Jesus Christ. It represents Jesus Christ. It's the first two letters of Christ in the Greek alphabet or something. And so Chi Rho, V, Vicar of Christ, that means literally the Vicar of Jesus Christ. That's what they're saying, and that's what they call the Pope. And Pope Francis is 732, and that's 237 backwards. And PXV in English gematria is 372. So there you have a double whammy of the 372, 237, whatever. 2 times 3 times 7 is 42, and Francis equals 420. And obviously, Vance met him on 420 and saw him off. 42 times 62, the simple value of PXV is 2604, the Pope's funeral date. So, I mean, I don't know what you want from that, but like that's some obvious programming right there. Death of a unicorn, and it's about a unicorn, the death of a unicorn who is able to resurrect itself, and the unicorn was sort of the bridge to the main character's divinity. She had a vision of her divinity and the afterlife, and showing how the unicorn was a bridge to her divinity, just like a pope is supposed to be the bridge to Jesus, our divinity. You should watch that video if you haven't seen it. Anyway, Pope Leo was elected on the day leaving 237 days in the year. And it was also the 128th day. And Leave the World Behind was released on 12/8. Okay, and Pope Leo is also part of the Order of St. Augustine, which equals 237, and Vance, J.D. Vance's patron saint is Augustine. So his first full day as newly elected Pope was 5/9, which was 237 days from his 69th birthday, which is 14/9, which reduces to 5/9. And 5/9 was the date written underneath the Tesla on the sticker that says Tesla. It was 5/9/2023 was the date in Leave the World Behind, inside the Tesla. I have another post of that on my X account. You can see. Okay, so Sirius, again, 23/7, July 23rd is heavily associated with Sirius rising, which is a significant date for the elite because Sirius and Sirius B represents the origin of humanity, where souls go to reincarnate. And Sirius B was discovered in Africa by the Dogon tribe. That's why they call it the Dog Star, because they discovered it, the Dogon tribe, before science could even verify its existence, because the Dogon tribe was visited by a race of aliens long ago. Their origin source shows that they were visited by a race of fish-headed beings who came out of the ocean, who showed them and told them about Sirius B, the white dwarf star orbiting Sirius A. And they knew about this, even the length of its orbit, like down to the very specific, like exactities, whatever you want to call it. The very specifics of this fucking star orbiting Sirius A. They knew about it before science could confirm it. Just like how occultists associated Saturn with the black cube, the hexagon, before we even knew there was a hexagon on Saturn's pole. Anyway, the fish-headed beings is important because the Pope's regalia, it's his, the Pope's hat resembles the fish head. And there's more to it, but I'm going to stick to the main points. So this is all about the destruction of the old matrix, as I outlined in my last video. The installation of a new currency, and the currency is at the core of what a matrix is. So we are stuck in this, everybody associates the current system with the matrix. Well, the new matrix is coming. It's the digital currency, and it's going to be a much more tight grip on the soul. People refer to it as a beast system. So the creator of matrices is the demiurge, and the demiurge equals 690, 115, just like Prevost, 690, 115. White Lion, 690, 115. Lion of Judah is what they referred to Haile Selassie as. That's why this is important, because Haile Selassie was considered the Lion of Judah because his bloodline supposedly ran down from Solomon, who was part of the tribe of Judah. 58/58, the date he got elected, 690, 115. He's 69 years old, and June 9th, spelled out, equals 690. Okay, so from Leave the World Behind to 115, last year, the election, is 10 months, 28 days. That's also 333 days. Well, the time between the birth of Haile Selassie and Adolf Hitler, representing both opposite ends of the spectrum ideologically and racially, black and white, the two colors of the chessboard, is 3 years, 3 months, 3 days, okay? Chessboard equals 333. People are always saying Trump is playing 5D chess. Okay, both of their names, Haile and Hitler, 8 and 8, H and H. They were the two major historical figures that I have been studying in this Pope ritual, all right? And then I finally find out, I decided to look up how many days apart they were born, and that's 1,190 days apart, their births, which is also 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days. Chessboard, 333. Now, the 88th composite number is 119. A chessboard is 8 by 8 squares, 64 squares, 32 white, 32 black. They were both portrayed as messianic figures. One thought to be literal reincarnation of Jesus. One used propaganda to force people to think that he was a Jesus-like savior. Both complete opposite ends of the spectrum of technique and belief, ideology, spirituality, and race. One fostered love in his religion of Rastafarianism, brought people together, brought blacks and whites together through the religion of Rastafarianism and the cannabis culture. And the other, through hate, fostered division and more hate and brought people apart. Perfect polarizing people, like opposites, and that's why the elite are using their numbers and the symbolism and coordinating these dates in accordance with significant events related to their lives, because they're drawing energy upon their lives to channel into this current chessboard dynamic going on right now of order out of chaos. All right, so from the 5/8 election of Pope Leo to the 827 death anniversary of Haile Selassie is 128 days. Again, the Leave the World Behind release date. From 5/8 to 12/8 this year, which is the 84th anniversary of the US involvement of World War II, is 214 days. Pope's death date or hospitalization date. From the end of our involvement in World War I to the beginning of our involvement in World War II is 1,204 weeks, okay? Vance was born in 84 on 8/2, the 214th day. Pope Leo equals 50484. Vance equals 450. 5/9 equals 50484. Kanye West's new name, Ye, 405. The chant they sing on the number one holiday of Rastafarian religion, which is on 421, by the way. The major holiday of Rastafarianism is called Groundation Day, and it's on 421. The Pope's death date. I forgot to add that. Thanks for reminding me. God. Alright. Now, the chant they sing on that holiday is Abu Ye. Abu Ye, Abu Ye, Abu Ye. Which equals 54. Like Ye, 405. Kanye equals 56, like how the 56 prime is 263, the value of Robert Francis Prevost. Germany declared war on the U.S. on 12/11/1941, which reduces to 326. Leave the World Behind, released 12/8, the 82nd anniversary of the U.S. entry into World War II, okay? This is big because Vance was born on 8/2, and the 82nd prime number is 421. So Vance was born on 8/2, and he saw the Pope to his death before the Pope died on 421. 8/2 to 12/8 is 128 days. All right. Five, 8, 58 is the 41st composite number. Vance turns 41 this year on 8/2. And Pope Leo was elected on 5/8. Patron saint is Augustine, just like Pope Leo is part of Augustine. And from 5/8 to 10/4 again, on 10/4, a couple months before they released the movie, on 10/4, they tested the emergency broadcast alert system in 2023. There was a whole fear up about it, getting people to be, oh, what are they planning? What are they doing? So from 10/4 to in 2023 to 12/8, Leave the World Behind, was 1,560 hours. And 9/11 is the 156th prime. Everybody knows. That's also 9 weeks, 2 days. 9/11 reduced. 666 spelled out, or 923 spelled out, or 33 spelled out, are all 156 in simple gematria. So is July 4th. The 142nd prime number is 821. And from 12/8/41 U.S. entry into World War II to the 11/22 theatrical release of Leave the World Behind is 8,201% of a common year. The 82nd composite number is 112. That's the date of establishment of the Vatican 96 years ago. And the 96th composite number is 128. And 12/8 is significant also with this because 12 times 8 equals 96. And again, Ruth from the movie Leave the World Behind had a 96 tattoo on her shoulder. She also had a tattoo that said fall. And remember the 69 connections with Prevost, who's 69. The demiurge equals 690. The 28th composite number is 42. And again, Vance saw the Pope off on 420. 82 is the 59th composite number. See how all these fucking numbers are matching up, and they did all that shit on purpose. This is a 100% human orchestrated synchroharmonious ritual. The 420th composite number is 518. 518 was the date the Pope was inaugurated, his inaugural Mass, which Vance attended. And as for 42, again, Liberation Day was 4/2, and Trump obviously plays a huge, huge part in this whole thing. It was 518 days from 12/8 to 5/9/2025, or 74 weeks. And the license plate of the family's car and Leave the World Behind, if you add up all the simple values of the letters plus the numbers, it's 74. So there's 1 month and 19 days. Remember I said the 88th composite number is 119. So one month and 19 days exists between Trump's birthday and Vance's birthday. The Francis Key Bridge was 1 month and 19 days from the Pelican Island boat crash on 5/15 last year, which was 119 days from 9/11. And Pelican Island equals 119. Not to mention, the Francis Key Bridge collapse happened on 1:28 a.m. and bridge collapse equals 128. Kanye West's first 3 songs of his World War III Cuck album. The first one was released on 3/26, the anniversary of the Key Bridge collapse, and also 26/3, the value of Robert Francis Prevost. 26/3, last year, the Francis Key Bridge collapse was 12 months, 3 weeks, 5 days from 4/21 Pope Francis's death, which is the exact literal time that Pope Francis died in the AM at 12:35 a.m. Then Cousins was released on 4/21, the day of the Pope's death. And that's the song where he says, "Leave the world behind," 4 times. Then he released Heil Hitler on 5/8, the date of Leo's election. Okay, that's 88. That's 80 years and 8 days from Hitler's death, and fucking people abbreviate Heil Hitler as 88 or HH. Heil Hitler equals 264, which is the date of the Pope's funeral. The rest of the album was supposedly leaked. Obviously, they wanted it out on 5/18, the day of Pope Leo's inauguration. And also the release date of Black Hole Sun, if you know, you know. 5/8, a movie was released with Jamie Foxx, a black guy, playing a cult leader named Leon on the date of Pope Leo's election. Jamie Foxx's cult leader name was Bukoshi, which equals 58. But his real name in the movie is Leon. And Leon equals 115, like Prevost. And 276, like the 267th Pope. In the very first scene, it shows a home video of Bukoshi, Jamie Foxx, the cult leader. And on the date of the home movie, it says 8/15, 5/18 backwards. And the movie, it says it's called Tin Soldier on the internet, but it's actually called The Tin Soldier because in the opening credits, that's what it says. And that equals 158. Kanye's album cover has KKK clothing on it. KKK, a cult. A black guy and a cult. Released the same day as a movie with a black guy, head of a cult, came out. And the Vatican is what? Just like a fucking cult in and of itself. The government, the hidden government within the Vatican. It's just like a cult. And the fucking clothing of the KKK, the pointed hats, they wear shit just like that in the Vatican ceremonies. All right. Obama, a black guy who helped leave the world behind. Born on 8/4, like Vance was born in 84. There's 110 days from his birthday, Obama's birthday, to the 11/22 theatrical release of Leave the World Behind. Adolf Hitler equals 110 and 660, and there was 66 days from the Pope's hospitalization date, 2/14, to his death. 2/14 was the 197 days from Vance's birthday, which was the 214th day of the year. 2/14 was the 45th day of the year, 45 weeks from 4/5 last year. 197 is the 45th prime, and Vance equals 450. And Trump announced Vance as his VP running mate on the 197th day of the year last year on 7/15. Pope Leo, again, 540. Vance gave his famous speech about togetherness at the Munich Security Conference last year on 2/14. Exposing the powers of corruption in the EU or the UK, whatever. And on that same day, 2/14, Captain America was released with the beginning scene showing the president making a speech with the big word "together" behind him on the screen. The black villain, who turns out not to be so bad from the Captain America movie, is played by the same actor who plays the murdered black head butler in the White House in the show called The Residence, released 3/20, a day before George Foreman's death. And in that show, The Residence, they show a guy named Big George who looks and acts just like Big George. A day before Big George, George Foreman, died, which is all in my threads. On 4/5, 45 weeks before the 45th day, 2/14/25, a movie was released last year called Monkey Man equals 666. Another movie was released that same day called La Bête, which equals 45, French for the beast. Monkey Man was about India, a guy fighting the corrupted powers that be, bringing justice to rotten authorities in India. And a day after the Pope died, this speech that Vance gave about togetherness on 2/14 was the same day the Pope got hospitalized. So 67 days later, on 4/22, Vance gave another speech about togetherness, same vibe as the one on 2/14 in India. And it was at the exact same time that the false flag attack happened in supposedly perpetrated by Pakistan, killing 26 Hindi people. There was 12 months, 17 days from 4/5 last year, Monkey Man movie, to the Pakistani false flag in India this year. 12/17 is Pope Francis's birthday. On 2/14, Pope's hospitalization and Vance's speech, a drone hit the reactor number 4 of Chernobyl in the Ukraine war, uncovering the radioactive waste. In parentheses it says corruption, uncovering the corruption, a metaphorical ritual, causing a radiation scare. Vance had turned 40, just like the drone hit reactor number 4, which was the one that blew up in the Chernobyl disaster. Then on 4/26, the Pope had his funeral, and 4/26 is the date of the Chernobyl disaster, the anniversary of the Chernobyl disaster. 4/26 was 71 days from 2/14. 4/26 is the English gematria translation of 71 simple gematria, because 71 times 6 equals 4/26. 71 days is also 7 weeks, 1 day. Now, this leads us to 17, which is the birth date of Pope Francis, the birthday of Putin, 10/7, sometimes compared to Hitler, the date of the Israeli massacre by Hamas, 10/7, the 17 days between the Leave the World Behind release dates, and the 17 days between the Pope's death and Pope Leo's election. From Hitler's birth to Haile's birth is also 170 weeks. December 17th equals 192. Just like Leave the World Behind and Eclipse and Deer, which are in the movie. On 5/17 this year, the Golden Gate bridge collision and boat collision killed injured 19 and killed 2. 5/17 reduces to 5/8. There's a lot more to that one, but I'm going to stick with some shit here, okay? So, the only interaction Hitler and Haile ever had was not directly between each other, but between their nations. When Hitler helped Haile with weapons and equipment to defend Ethiopia against Italy, Hitler only did this to weaken Italy. Then, after Hitler saw that the League of Nations weren't going to try to stop Italy after Italy broke the Geneva Convention using chemical weapons on Ethiopia, it showed Hitler that expansion into Austria would go unchecked and unimpeded. Then Hitler took Austria like candy from a baby, supposedly so easily and welcoming like that they called it the Flower War, because much of Austria welcomed German assimilation with flowers thrown on the troops. So indirectly, Haile helped Hitler take Austria, which was a big moment for Hitler because he wanted his root soil back, which he got when he got Austria back. The big thing here is that Austria didn't become sovereign until 5/15/1955, which again was the Pelican Island boat crash, and it's 119 days from 9/11, and it's also the date of the 8647 post by Mark Comey this year. And that date, 5/15/1955, is also the same year Pope Leo was born, which makes Austria under German control from 3/12/1938 to 5/15/1955. That's 206 months and 3 days. The value of Robert Francis Prevost, 263. And from 5/15/1955 to Pope Leo's birthday, 9/14/1955, is 122 days, or 3 months and 30 days. Pope Francis equals 221. And the runtime of Leave the World Behind is 2 hours, 21 minutes. That's also 3 months, 4 weeks, 2 days. Like the 243rd day premiere of Conclave and White Noise, both outlined in the above post. See, White Noise and Conclave, they were the two biggest predictive programming movies of recent years. All right, everybody knows, hopefully you know, if you don't, you have to, about White Noise, how it predicted the train crash in Ohio and the poison cloud produced by the crashed train. Not to mention, it was filmed in the literal exact place that the train crash happened in real life. So this movie was made, and then this train crash happened a couple months later at the exact town that they filmed the train crash in for the movie. If you can't see the predictive programming ritualism being done here, then I don't know what more anybody can show you to convince you. This is the #1 example, White Noise, of predictive programming. And then, so White Noise was released on the 243rd day of 2022. Okay, and then Conclave released last year on the 243rd day of the leap year. And then months later, the Pope dies and the conclave happens. Okay, conclave equals 75. That's the date that the conclave actually started in Rome on May 7th, though they would write it as 7/5. And that happened 250 days after the movie was released on 8/30 last year. And Pope Leo equals 250. So 243 is a big number because it's 9 times 27, and I won't get into all that. You can pause and read here if you want. But 927, 627, 327, and their variations are all very important numbers to the elite. So I won't get into all that. White Noise was about the main character who taught Hitler studies. And between the two dates that these two movies predicted, so between the 2/3/2023 train crash in Ohio, predicted by White Noise, and between then and 4/21 Pope's death in 2025 is 808 days. Like the age of the Pope, and like the chessboard 8x8 squares, and like the value of matrix creation, or the 88-year Mercury orbit, or the 88 constellations in the sky. So, yeah, there was 808 days between those two dates predicted by movies released on the same number date, not 8/30 and 8/31, but the same day of the year, because one was a leap year. You get it. Anyway, this movie wasn't about a pope at all, White Noise, but it has direct references and numbers like that connect it and show. Like, alright, I don't know. I just don't know what to say about it. It's like, I hope you're following. Because Leave the World Behind premiered once at the AFI Fest on 10/25. That's the same date as the American release of Conclave, which was a year later. Okay, so from the premiere of White Noise to the premiere of, no, to the American release of Conclave was 112 weeks and 2 days. 1122 is the date, is the theatrical release date of Leave the World Behind. Alright, so also from 8:31 White Noise premiere to 10:25 Leave the World Behind AFI Fest premiere is 1 year, 1 month, and 25 days. Just like 1125, the 11/25 release date in 2022 of White Noise on Netflix, I think. So you see how these numbers are lining up. These three movies are the biggest predicted programming movies. I want you to see how Conclave and White Noise are so directly connected, as well as with Leave the World Behind, that they're showing us that they are going to do what these movies are saying they are going to do. Specifically Leave the World Behind, because Conclave did it, White Noise did it, and they're both so deeply intertwined with Leave the World Behind that they're saying that Leave the World Behind is going to happen. So from the taking, when Germany took Austria in 3/12/1938, from then to the 11/22 theatrical release date, or to the 12/8 release date of Leave the World Behind, is 1,028 months in the range of days. That's also 85 years, just like the Pope Leo's election and 128, the all famous number. The highest authority within of the Vatican, within Austria, during Germany's Anschluss, which was the taking of Austria, was Archbishop Innitzer, which equals 214. He was known as the Heil Hitler Cardinal. The Heil Hitler Cardinal, guys. What the fuck? Heil Hitler was released by Kanye West this year on the date of Pope Leo's election. Leave the World Behind released on the 82nd anniversary of U.S. involvement of World War II. Vance, supposedly psyoped into making us believe he killed the Pope, was born on 8/2, the 214th day of the year. 82nd prime is 421. He was known as the Heil Hitler Cardinal, Archbishop Innitzer, because he signed a declaration with other bishops from Austria endorsing Hitler. He signed it with Heil Hitler. And then the Nazis kind of flaunted that in public, and then he got in trouble with the Vatican, so then he started to have to kind of change his views publicly. But everybody knows this guy was a Nazi sympathizer. So Germany took Austria on 12/3, that's how they would write it, March 12th. Kanye West, 123, just like Pontifex Maximus, 1230. The total lunar eclipse on Pi Day this year was Saros series 123. Yeah, so I think 6/9 is going to be eventful. I think the whole week from 6/8 to 6/12 could be, we could see some escalations. Anyway, Haile Selassie, Adolf Hitler. Their energy is being used to polarize our minds on the grand fifth dimensional chessboard of the New World Order through the New World chaos caused by the fires of racial tension, sexual tension, all stoked through the programming in the media, forcing us to confront our deepest neuroses. And in so doing, they are using that energy, that tension, to fuel the New World chaos, to prepare our minds to receive the New World Order. That's it.